Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm working on my 2018 Audi SQ5 again. Today's project is upgrading the screen that's in there. Just seems like it's a little bit too small. So here's the factory screen. New screen is a 12.3 inch. So you can see the size difference here. So I think it's going to be pretty nice. I'm a little nervous, a little excited. Bought this thing off of a website called AliExpress from China. So I don't know, it was cheap enough. I'm going to take the gamble on it and see, if it was worth it to get the bigger screen. Supposedly it'll keep the factory MMI and all that stuff. So yeah, you can see I've got this thing torn apart pretty good. It's definitely an involved project. Got the glove box out, center consoles apart, trim pieces out here. I've watched a few videos of other guys taking these dashes and screens out. So, but yeah, I had a little bit of trouble with one part of this project so far. Let's see if I can find the piece. Here it is. Yeah, taking this piece out was a little tricky. You're going to need the radio keys from Volkswagen and Audi. They look like this. So they're gonna go right in here on the back side just to release these little tabs. So this one, for whatever reason, did not come out easy. It goes somewhere down here. But you will need to get that out. There's two bolts behind it. So as I put this back together, I will try to show where all the bolts are and clips. So yeah, stay tuned. All right, so I get the new screen going back in. It came with its own bracket. So this old bracket, I guess, is just gonna stay with the old screen. So we'll leave that there. Came with another harness. You can see here, so that's gonna have to be plugged in to down here. There's another radio thing behind the glove box. So I just ran that up there to the screen. Got that plugged in. There's a little bracket there. I have to hook that up and then the screen will attach. So I'm already kind of running into my first issue. So you can see that and that. It's supposed to slide into some holes in the back, but I think this wire right here was actually over in the way. So I'm just having a little bit difficult of a time trying to get that to slide in. So I wire tied the wires together to hopefully keep them out of the way. So let's see if that works. All right, so got the screen in place, and now there's a couple little screws, one on each side there and on the other side to get in. All right, so I get the screws in, screen is mounted. So next step is gonna be, I think, getting this trim piece with the vents back in place, except I have no idea how that is gonna fit up under there with the screen already in. So I don't know, we'll have to give this a try. Yeah, so there was no way to get this trim piece back up underneath the screen. So I actually had to pop the screen out a little bit, put the trim in place, put the screen in, and then put those two screws in. And the kit came with this little thing, so I'm assuming this is gonna go back here somehow to cover that little metal piece. But basically now you have 8 screws or bolts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's gonna hold that piece in place. All right, so for the next step, we need to get the T-harness hooked up here to this part of the factory radio. So there's a plug in the back right there, that big black one. You're gonna need to pull up on this tab, and then that's gonna release and that'll come out. So I put the glove box back up in place just while I was doing this because this thing's pretty heavy and there just wasn't enough slack in the cables to do it with the glove box out, and didn't really seem like you could disconnect it with the glove box hanging. Maybe you could, I don't know. I might have just done an extra step, but so I got that disconnected, and then I'm gonna pull the other part of the cable through and get that hooked up. All right, so I got the T-harness plugged back in. I got the CD changer plugged back in here and all the wires tucked up in there. So I think now I'm at a point where I actually want to try turning on the radio to see if it works. I don't know if that's a good idea with all the stuff unplugged, but I'm gonna give it a try. All right, so screen's booting up. It actually works, which is surprising. Maybe it's not. So this is supposed to have wireless CarPlay, which is the main reason I got it. And then you're supposed to be able to use, yeah, see, I'm using the knob, and that works. And it is a touch screen other than the factory MMI setup. So I'm gonna play around with this for a minute and see what else I can figure out. All right, so next up we've got the climate control trim piece going back in. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down on the bottom. Once you get all those screws put back in, you can go ahead and put this piece in. Basically just slides in. You have that tan connector, and you'll see to get it out, you got these little tabs that release. So that's where those radio keys are gonna come in handy. And when I pulled it out, I actually had a little difficulty. I had to get behind it with my hand to push it out, and I went in through the glove box. So some of you guys might find that it's a little easier to get it out like that. All right, so next you're gonna click in this little trim piece for your start button and cigarette lighter, and then your whole assembly here for the shifter clicks down in on all 4 corners, and then on the shifter handle there's one torque screw that's gonna go in the top. After you get the T20 torque screw back in, you can then put the cover on to your shifter, just a couple clips. That's just gonna go straight on, click down into place. Now you're ready to put the last center console trim piece back on. Just have one plug down there for the volume knob. So it's just gonna go straight down. And then torque screw right there underneath that little rubber piece. So before putting the glove box back in permanently, I just went in and kind of tidied up some of the wires back here, put some wire ties on there. There's the transmitter for the GPS and the 4G, so I just stuck those onto that little bar right there. I think they'll be out of the way. So yeah, looks like the glove box is ready to go back in. So there's a plug right there. You just want to make sure that you plug that in before the glove box goes back up in there. And then there's one more light that has to be plugged in, but that's up on the bottom of the glove box. Okay, finished product. You can see everything is all back together. Center console is intact. Screen is on, it's working. So it looks pretty good. We'll have to see how this thing performs. I'm going to use it for a little bit, and then I'll do another part to this video with how this thing works. All right, so I've had this screen installed now for a couple weeks, so I figured I would just make a little segment here now that I've had it hooked up and everything, and I've had a chance to use it, see how it functions. So overall, pretty happy with the screen. So right now you can see I'm in the main system for the car, and when I first hooked the screen up, this was very distorted, and it was actually missing part of, you couldn't see that side. So there is a setting in the screen that you'll have to play with as far as what you want the dimensions to display for your original system. I ended up finding that automatic seemed to be the best setting, because it just randomly all of a sudden seemed to fix itself, and this went full screen like it's supposed to without cutting anything off. So now, as far as like to get to Apple CarPlay and the screen system, because there's two different systems now. So what I typically do, I press this button here for nav, map, and then it brings to the Google Maps in the screen, and then I end up hitting menu, and then it takes you to the screen menu. So this is the screen's own system, and then from here you have to hit phone link, and then that takes you into Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, whatever you use, and then, you know, the touch screen will work here. So but yeah, the screen, the resolution is much better than the factory screen, which I like. The size feels, you know, just right for the car. Like, this feels like the screen that should have come in the car. The backup camera, that works like it's supposed to, automatically kicks the camera on, and then you can go back. And then to get back to the car's system, typically what I end up doing, I'll hit media or radio, and that takes you into the car system. I mean, you can go back to the screen's main menu and hit MMI, but typically that's, as I'm driving, that's the fastest thing to do. So one thing I did notice, the only thing I don't like, as far as if I'm playing music, I have to make sure that I'm using the car's system and not the screen, because sometimes I'll go into my Apple CarPlay, try to play music directly from that, and the sound quality is really bad. But if you go in and you go down, you know, to your Bluetooth, it sounds, you know, like it's supposed to there. And then you just have to, like I said, go back into your screen, and then now you can control your music from here. So once you get used to it, not too bad. You know, but for the money, I mean, that's an amazing upgrade for this car. Like I said, this screen, it looks factory. The fit is really good. The quality seems to be pretty good. You know, it's fast. it just looks, it looks much better than the factory screen. So so yeah, that's pretty much all I got. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments, and yeah, thank you.